First Minister for your timer and back to the Chair.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Rob Roberts, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, First Minister, for giving up your time this morning. It's good to see you again. As you were talking to the Chair earlier on regarding the publicly owned renewable energy company that's planned, I'm interested to question about that a little bit, as to whether you're aware at this point what the projected costs of that will be, and that the Minister, Julie James, mentioned that the benefits would be significant towards the end of the decade. What's the projection of what significant means?
Okay, well, look, it's very important, Chair, to explain to members that we are approaching the renewable energy developer for Wales in a staged way. So we are not committed to costs beyond the next phase of its development. And at every phase, we will ask ourselves the question whether or not this investment is going to pay off in the way that we believe that it will. Or just to rehearse the history just for one moment, the history of onshore wind development in Wales has been that the public purse pays for an enormous amount of the preconditions that are necessary before you get to the stage where energy is being generated. When a developer seeks to develop an onshore wind farm, it requires all sorts of permissions, and those permissions are generated by public authorities, and the public invests a large amount of money in getting those permissions and getting the development to happen. Does the public then get a return on that investment? Well, we think it doesn't always get the return to which the public is entitled, because once planning permissions and other permissions are granted, what happens is that a private developer comes and the profits that are made through the activity on that land is taken into those private companies, which, as I explained earlier, are very often, in fact most often, are headquartered outside not just Wales, but the United Kingdom. So in having a renewable energy developer ourselves, focused first of all on the development of onshore wind at Drakeford, which is a site in Carmarthenshire, we believe that the taxpayer will get a direct return for the investment that the taxpayer makes. But we will review it at every stage. And there will come a stage where I am sure that we will want to work alongside a private developer, a partnership with another developer, in order to complete the full potential of that site. So that's why Julie James will have said to you that we wouldn't expect to be reaping a return on the investment until the end of the decade. But we are confident from all the analysis we have done so far that retaining a direct public interest in that development will, as I say, give to the public, whose money actually makes all this happen, confidence of knowing that they will get a return from the money that they are putting up for it.
Thank you. I appreciate that comprehensive response. We're going to have a very short period of time each, so if we can hopefully get, I've got 3 or 4 more questions that hopefully we can get some brief answers to. As you'll perhaps be aware, we're holding an inquiry into broadcasting in Wales, and recently took evidence from Gita Hari. And he told us, based on his very extensive experience, that he felt that the media in Wales isn't nearly as challenging to Welsh Government as the Westminster media is to the government here. And you were at pains during the COVID restrictions to say that the Prime Minister doesn't speak for Wales and that the decisions were yours. My question is Mr Hari right? And are we avoiding an inquiry into COVID decisions in Wales because you're aware that coverage of any UK inquiry will focus on Westminster and Welsh Government will avoid scrutiny altogether?
Well, first of all, Mr Hari is not right. And secondly, I have direct assurances from the Prime Minister of the time that the inquiry will focus on Wales. I'm very encouraged by the fact that the chair of the inquiry, Baroness Hallett, made her first visit outside London to come to Wales has met with Welsh families, that the inquiry website has all its material in Welsh as well as English. I do not share the doubts that the member expresses about the effectiveness of the inquiry and its willingness to make sure that it shines a light on all the decisions that were made here in Wales, and to offer people with the explanations and the insights that they're looking for from that inquiry.
I appreciate the answer. I understand the points that the First Minister's making, and I don't disagree that the report will undoubtedly be comprehensive. My question was more around, do you think that the coverage in the media will shine a light rather than focusing just on Westminster?
Well, I think there has been an extensive interest, certainly by Welsh media, and I'm probably a good deal closer to it than Mr Harry has been, on the actions of the Welsh Government. I welcome that. I hope it will continue. And I think one of the things that the whole COVID experience did was to make media outlets beyond Wales far more interested in things that happen outside London. So actually, I think the impact of COVID has been the opposite. It means there's been far more coverage of Wales and of Scotland than would otherwise have been the case.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Moving on slightly, some of my colleagues are going to ask shortly about the autumn statement and finances and things. I want to just touch on that from the point of view of local authority funding. Do you believe that the measures in the autumn statement are going to have a marked impact on how the Welsh Government allocates funds to local authorities?
Funding of local authorities is always one of the key priorities for us in our budget setting. It's why local authorities in Wales have been so much better treated than local authorities in England have been over the last decade. And local authorities had a very significant uplift in their funding in the current financial year. We are in the process of finalising our draft budget. It'll be published on the 13th of December. I can't offer the particular details of it until it is published, but I can definitely offer an assurance that local authorities and the services that they provide continue to be at the top end of the list of things that we look to support through the budgets that we are able to make available to them.
Thank you. Very swiftly, I have 30 seconds left, so very quickly. Up in Flintshire, we are 20th out of 22 for per capita funding every single year. Some of the others who are in the top 3 every year have significant unallocated reserves, more than £150 million in some cases, but yet they seem to get the highest settlement every year. Is that still a fair way of doing things?
The level of reserves that a local authority holds is not taken into account in the formula that drives the money that goes to local authorities in Wales. The formula is a formula agreed with Welsh local government. I always say, if Welsh local government wish to come to me with proposals for change, then of course we will be prepared to discuss those proposals carefully with them. The question of reserves is a separate one, but it is an important one. The headline figure often disguises the fact that some local authorities at different points over a decade will be holding reserves earmarked for specific purposes. But that isn't the whole of the explanation. Reserves have risen during the COVID period as local authorities look forward to next year and a very difficult year financially. I would expect them, as we do in the Welsh Government, to use reserves in order to be able to do the very important things that they do on behalf of their communities.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wayne David.